Welcome to the carnage.
And welcome back to the Carnage, everybody. Today we're going to go over some things that, honestly, they've been kind of circulating for a while, and it's something that I find interesting. So, if you go back to about 2010-ish, this is when, Vines was popular, right? And we had YouTube, but we didn't have, like, TikTok and some of these other platforms. This is kind of the start of that. And so, right around that time is when we started getting a lot more of these, feminism videos kind of pushed out into the world. And so for the last 16 years, you're starting to see some of these women who made those videos back then, and now they're like, hey, I was sold a lie. This wasn't what I was promised by, this movement. And it's kind of refreshing to see that more and more and more of these women are kind of waking up and saying, hey, this is definitely not the way it was meant to be. You guys sold us this lie about competing with men in men's spaces and, going out and sleeping around as much as possible, being over sexualized and selling myself on the internet and all these things that empower women was sold as empowerment, but these women are realizing now that that's not empowerment at all. It's a joke, and they all wish they could go back in time and fix some of these mistakes. And so that's what these videos are about. So let's go ahead and jump right in. But before we do, if you can, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and we'll get on with the videos.
Want to know something wild? Women traded family for a 9 to 5 and then they called it liberation. Just think about it for a second. Our grandmothers prayed for husbands so that they could work hard, raise kids, and build a strong home. That was the dream: security, love, and purpose. Then feminism came along, told women that being a wife and being a mother is oppressive. So what did we do? We left the home to work for men that don't love us at companies that will replace us the second we get burnt out. That's not freedom, that is slavery in heels. Feminism convinced women that family is a cage and working for a corporate job is empowerment. Tell me this, why do so many women hit 30, are alone, exhausted, and wondering why they feel so empty? It's because you can't outsmart God's design. No promotion will ever replace a husband that loves you and children who adore you. So no, I'm not anti-woman, I'm pro-woman, and pro-woman enough to tell you the truth. Real freedom isn't in a cubicle or a nurse's station, it's in building a legacy. So go forth and multiply.
Yep. So exactly, a lot of these women are finding that out, right? That they climb this corporate ladder, and at the end of the day, they hit 30, 35, 40 years old, and they're alone. They don't look 30 or 40. I mean, they look 55, 60 because they're just burnt out, stressed, exhausted, don't know which way is up and down. And so they hit that wall, which the wall, again, is undefeated. And when they do hit that wall, that realization sets in that maybe this was not what my life was supposed to be. And I'm not saying that a job and a career doesn't fulfill people in ways. It does, absolutely. And it'd be hypocritical for some of these women who have these platforms that basically, are that's work, right? They're out here, they're influencers, they're doing all this. But at the end of the day, a lot of these women, they make these short videos, 10, 15 a week or whatever. Doesn't take an exuberant amount of time to kind of put in that effort, and so they still have plenty of time to raise their children and be with their families.
Feminism lied to us and we just ate it up. They told us that rebellion was power, but all it gave us was confusion, burnout, and situationships. In the eyes of feminists, you don't need no man, right? Okay, but why are you secretly craving love, stability, and protection? So somehow obeying God became oppressive, while being overworked, over-sexualized, and overlooked became empowerment. Please make it make sense.
It's nice to see a woman with critical thinking skills, because the majority of women don't seem to understand that modern feminism was a way for the government to get double the taxes, weaken the family unit, and keep people in poverty.
How did we somehow convince an entire...
Yep. I mean, he's right on half of that. This was sold to them in this way, right? And it actually goes back to the original founders of who pushed the feminist movement, was that the whole overall plan was to destroy the family unit. That was overall the biggest plan possible. And the reason why is because it was, if we destroy the family unit, then we take power from men because men can no longer leave a legacy of, sons and children behind to, continue that man's legacy. So if we destroy the family unit and this dies with us, then these will not perpetuate and keep going. And so a lot of that was directly the plan, and it's more or less work, honestly.
Our generation of women that hating men is somehow empowering, that being bitter, lonely, and burnt out is what freedom looks like. That femininity is weakness, but promiscuity, obesity, and rage issues are brave. They told us we didn't need men, that motherhood was slavery, that somehow hookup culture was liberation, that trading husbands for antidepressants and one-night stands was somehow a glow-up. Now look at us. We have entire TV shows, commercials, magazines, and school curriculums all designed to mock men, especially white men. They're the enemy, the punchline, the villain. This isn't progress. This is cultural self-destruction. And they expect us to thank them for it. Smile, clap, and be inclusive, all while they tear down the very foundation that holds up society. But I'm not clapping. I'm not smiling. And I'm not pretending that this looks anything like empowerment. They didn't liberate women. They just made sure that we would die alone, overworked, overmedicated, and proud of it. Please comment your thoughts below, and please repost and follow for more. Thank you.
I used to believe that feminism is a great thing, just like most women and maybe even most people. But obviously, I changed my mind since I've made multiple videos addressing the dangers of modern feminism. And since it's apparently very uncommon for a woman to be skeptical of feminism, lots of people ask me when I started hating my own kind. Which is a great question. I'm kidding, of course, because being critical of feminism doesn't equal hating women. The fact that I even have to explain this is ridiculous, but unfortunately, it's necessary in the world we live in today. Anyway.
Yeah, and we have to do the same. As men that make this kind of content, they all say the same thing. Oh, you're just being misogynistic. No, I'm not. I don't hate women at all. What I hate is this idea that women bought into, and they feel the need to try as hard as possible to, villainize men, specifically, white men, as the perpetrator of all that's evil in the world, right? Like, we wake up as men and we're just like, what I'm going to do today? I'm going to oppress some women, and I'm going to hate some gays and some blacks, and that's what I'm going to do because I'm a white guy. No, I don't know a single white person that acts or thinks that way. I don't. I really, really don't. I don't know why we've been villainized to that degree. I mean, to a degree, yes. Shit that happened 100 years ago, okay, I get that. But hate that. Hate that time frame. Hate that period of human history. What's going on today has nothing to do with what happened 100 years ago. It has nothing to do with it at all. Everything has changed. We live in a completely different world, and it's time that people realize that.
In this video, I'm going to tell you why I thought feminism was a good thing, and more importantly, the moment I realized it was all a lie. To give you some context, this is where I live, the Netherlands. I grew up in a very progressive country, so of course in school we also got taught about feminism. But when I was a kid, feminism wasn't promoted as extremely as it is now. It was more like men and women are all equal, and women can do everything a man can do. And if you follow me for a while now, then you probably know that I think the last one is debatable, since there are natural differences between men and women. But when I was a kid, this message of women can do everything a man can do really resonated with me because I was such a tomboy. I was always hanging out with boys, getting into mischief, climbing trees, and just doing all kinds of typical boy stuff. I wasn't the stereotypical girl at all, and I didn't like it when people treated me like one. I didn't want to play with dolls, I wasn't into makeup or fashion until I was like 16, and to be completely honest, I'm still not that into it. So I always really envied boys because they got to do all of the stuff that I wanted to do. At the same time, I was also a very sensitive and empathetic child, which are often seen as more feminine traits. But there wasn't too much room for that because my father always pushed me very hard, in school and in sports. He really wanted me to be successful, and he almost kind of treated me like I was his firstborn son. And therefore, when I was younger, I used to be extremely ambitious. I wanted to have a very successful career and make lots of money. And I wanted to do all of that while being on a national field hockey team as well. And while doing all of that, I also thought I could be a great mother, because that is what I saw on TV. And not only on TV, of course, because there is feminist indoctrination everywhere. The stories of today are almost always based on a strong female character, a girl who has to make it in a male-dominated world. And she always has such a disadvantage just because she's a girl, but she ends up succeeding anyway, despite all odds. And when it comes to romantic stories, it's always the girl who challenges the guy that she likes. And that's what makes him fall in love with her. But what did that teach me? Basically that I need to have a successful career in order to be respected by society, and that I need to go around challenging the guys that I like in order to find true love. And those were actually my beliefs as a teenager. But that's the complete opposite of how I think about those things now. And it all goes back to a very specific moment when I was 16 that completely changed my mind about feminism and my beliefs. You see, my parents' relationship had already fallen apart by then. They were divorced. And the funny thing is that I actually come from quite a traditional household where my dad was mostly the breadwinner and my mom, she worked part-time to take care of the kids. But they had a very toxic relationship and they didn't respect each other at all. And I don't want to go too much into detail about that on the internet, but I saw their relationship and I thought, never in my life do I want such a horrible relationship with someone. And on top of that, I wasn't popular at all in school, also not with guys, and I also got bullied, and I was actually quite depressed as a teenager.
She should resent serving her husband.
So I don't know why that video cut off when it did, and I couldn't find the other part to it, unfortunately. But the comment section is why I added the video so I could talk on that. The comment section was just full. I mean, absolutely full of women just calling her a pick-me and, you know, you hate your own kind and you're a horrible person for even, you know, talking about this and, you know, this, that, and the other. And most of these videos, those comments are, you know, prominent. I mean, they're, you know, 500, 600 comments deep into these videos. That's the majority of these comments from women. And men typically, you know, comment, they're like, well, you know, it's good that you know, you found yourself, you found your way, you know, so on and so forth. So I don't know why there's such a discrepancy between the two. It's just something I really wanted to talk about, something that I've been seeing a lot lately. And it's weird. It's honestly very fucking weird.
And her children, but she should be thrilled about serving her employer, which is absolute bullshit. And the reason why you know it's absolute bullshit is because it's so disconnected from reality. Most women don't want that, but they're conditioned that they're told they want that, and they're told that's what a woman is. You're like, first of all, 85% of men in the workforce hate their jobs. They hate it, 85% of them. So why are you racing into that failed system and thinking somehow that's more noble? You're like, well, which one's gonna bring you more satisfaction, a W-2 or a meaningful relationship with the people closest to you? It's so obviously counterintuitive, but yet it's this programming that they're just conditioned because that's what they're told and everybody tells them it's like how it is, and we've just like accepted this huge ass lie of feminism. And then you can't say anything about it because everybody gets triggered. You can't say anything against it because everybody gets up in arms, and yet secretly all the women are like, yeah, deep down inside, that's actually what I want. I don't want to work. I want to be stay home. I want to raise my kids. There's outliers to that. Obviously, there's some women that don't have that proclivity, and go do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's a, you know, it's a dirty thing to talk about, right? And it's kind of why, you know, the channels like mine exist, is that we're trying really hard to show the world through a mirror of, you guys were sold a lie. It has nothing to do with misogyny. It has nothing to do with, hey, you know, as a man, we want to keep all the power, take the power, or anything like that. That's not it at all. What we want to see is men and women again come together and have, you know, normal, everyday, you know, relationships with each other, right? And the gender war to die. Because right now on social media, there's plenty of wars going on, right? We have enough, you know? And to see even people of own races going against each other in those genders, right? You have, for example, outside of us white folk, I noticed there's a lot of videos of black women making these really hateful, you know, I mean, just downright hateful videos about black men, because black men are shifting more towards dating other races, specifically Asian, Latina, and white. And these women are up in arms about it. And then on the other flip of that, you know, you're seeing a lot of, you know, traditional old style black guys really mad at these black women because they're more interested in dating Latino and white guys, you know? And so there's that giant fight going on, and there doesn't need to be. And it's sad. It's sad that that's where the human race is become. We've been giving these tools, and instead of reaching out to each other and making the world a better place, we're all fighting.
I've already pissed off a lot of people, so might as well keep going. Feminism was a scam. Yeah. Feminism was a scam to get women into the workforce so they could tax both parents and then indoctrinate your children. You cannot change my mind.
Isn't it so crazy that feminism does the exact opposite of empowering women? It is not giving you freedom. It is actually silencing you. It has convinced women that sexualization is freedom, that selling their bodies online is freedom, that having multiple partners is freedom. But what this actually does is exploit you and enslave you. It's funny how feminism actually just gave the worst type of men exactly what they wanted. I mean, having as much emotionless sex as possible, OnlyFans, running around half naked, killing their babies, men and women's sports. How does that equal female empowerment? Not to mention you're warding off all of the good men. I mean, you guys say over and over how much you hate men when you are literally doing the things that please the worst type of men. If you were focused more on traditional femininity, on having one partner, on getting married, on having kids, on building a family unit, I promise you would attract really good men into your life, and therefore you wouldn't hate all men. And every time I say things like this, I get told that I'm tearing down other women. No, the reason that I post what I post is because I actually care about other women and their well-being. You can take it or leave it. But if I were to just let you exploit yourself and enslave yourself to what I would consider a cult, I mean, take Bonnie Blue, for example, that would be me not caring about you.
Feminism is a scam that taught women to be single, independent, and miserable. They sold you a lie that you don't need men, and now you're wondering why you're lonely and bitter at 35. Feminism taught you that marriage is oppression, that having kids holds you back, and that depending on a man makes you weak. So you choose career over love, independence over partnership, and now you're successful but empty. Well, most of you aren't even successful, you're just broke and alone, but hey, at least you're independent, right? They convinced you that men are the enemy, that traditional roles are slavery, and that being feminine is degrading. Now you hate the very thing you're biologically wired to attract. You're working 40 to 60-hour weeks to fill in your time, coming home to an empty apartment, wondering why you feel unfulfilled, despite having it all. The women who rejected feminism and chose traditional roles are married, fulfilled, and actually happy, while you're still trying to prove you don't need anyone. Feminism didn't liberate you, it isolated you. You traded love for loneliness and called it empowerment. I used to follow feminism blindly too, so there's still hope for you. It's not too late to wake up and choose differently.
Feminism is one of the biggest scams that...
Yeah, she's 100% right. And I actually know, through my family, some women who definitely went down that path, not going to name names, not calling anybody out here, but they chose that path. And here they are in life now, and they're miserable, absolutely miserable. And they're just spiteful, hateful people to talk to. So I more or less have cut off contact with them. And, they've definitely hit up some of my videos and, sent me hateful messages and things like that. It's my own family I'm talking about, that they're so indoctrinated into this whole ideal that they see what I'm doing as a slight against them, and it's not. It has nothing to do with hating women. It has everything to do with trying to wake people up to see this is a problem, right? And all you women are doing is fulfilling, the men who we consider, incels and creeps and all this. You're feeding into them. You're giving these guys exactly what they want, and I don't think you realize that, and that's sad.
Indoctrinating young girls, I was even indoctrinated to think that your career is going to bring you happiness. Then you hit 40s, 50s, not married, no children, and it's heartbreaking. You're not happy. And I'm so happy and so grateful that I figured this out in my early 20s. You have some women in their 30s, 40s listening to Cardi B, dedicating their lives to their career, and they're going to be miserable. They're creating a certain lifestyle for themselves, and no man is ever going to want them. But then we start hating on men because men prefer younger women. Well, that's not really men's fault, is it? It's society's fault. Society should have told girls when they were much younger that at that age they're going to be most desirable, but no, they were busy building their careers and building all these different things, which unfortunately they wake up one day and realize just isn't satisfying enough. And so I think it's very sad.
So when you look at it as a whole, that whole idea that was sold to you ladies was specifically designed to, again, destroy the family unit, right? And to condition and indoctrinate you to thinking that children were absolutely just little monsters. You don't want to have kids. Trust us. Kids are bad. And it's funny because it's like a two-sided coin, right? On one side, people think that the government did it so that they get double tax money, which, is fine, I guess, to a degree, because I think it worked out that way. And then once the government got used to that kind of thing, they did go down that path. But the government didn't start that as that, because the government definitely wouldn't want a family to be broken up, because they want you to have kids because you're having more little taxpayers, bro. Right? That's how they get more taxes 20 years from now, is you having kids. So that's what they want you to do. So I don't think it was the government at all. But I do think that eventually, yes, the government did kind of hop on board when they were like, hey, we're getting double the tax money. All these women that want to work, great. And so I know a lot of people think that, and that's fine. Like I said, I don't think the government had anything to do with it initially, but I think, yes, by, an extension of itself, now the government is on board with, they definitely want, everybody working. And if there wasn't an up in arms, everybody hated it, I guarantee you the government would, remove age limit for children working and paying taxes if they could. That's how, fucking greedy they are. But that being said, let me know what you guys think. I mean, do you guys know anybody like this specifically? And have you tried to reach out to them and, try to wake them up and tell them, hey, you were sold a lie? Or do you agree with, the other side? Are you a feminist? Do you think that this is all just designed to, oppress you, and that everybody's just being a misogynist and a pick-me? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll catch you all on the next video.